the soul aches, because eternity whispers. The Path to Allah is more than a book. It's a journey from heedlessness to divine light. Through 38 soul-stirring chapters, Edvin Kajgana reveals the essence of true servitude, drawing from timeless Islamic wisdom to awaken the heart. Discover the sweetness of faith, the mercy in trials, and the power of surrender. Are you ready to walk the path back to Him? The Path to Allah, available on Amazon.
The role of women in our lives unfolds as both mystery and manifestation, a sacred presence that weaves through the very fabric of existence with divine purpose. When we speak of women, we speak of something far greater than social roles or cultural expectations. We speak of a principle that touches the deepest well springs of creation itself, a reflection of divine mercy that encompasses all things, as the sacred text reminds us that God's mercy embraces everything. At the heart of understanding lies a profound recognition that has been obscured by centuries of cultural interpretation and social conditioning. The original design reveals something extraordinary. Men and women emerge from a single soul, sharing the same spiritual essence and divine potential. This fundamental equality before the Creator transcends all earthly distinctions, for as the divine word declares, the most noble among humans are those that are most righteous, without reference to gender. The measure of human worth rests not in physical form, but in the cultivation of spiritual consciousness. The divine attributes themselves carry profound feminine dimensions that illuminate the sacred nature of womanhood. The most frequently invoked names of God in Islamic tradition derive from the root that means womb, connecting divine mercy directly to the uniquely feminine capacity for nurturing life. This linguistic connection reveals a profound truth. The mercy that encompasses all existence mirrors the containing, protective, and life-giving nature of the feminine principle. When believers invoke in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, they call upon qualities that find their earthly reflection in the feminine experience of caring, nurturing, and bringing forth life. The feminine presence in our lives serves as a living reminder of these divine qualities. Through their capacity for empathy, patience, and unconditional love, women embody on earth what the scriptures describe as God's boundless mercy. This is not mere metaphor, but metaphysical reality. The divine feminine manifests through human relationships as a means of spiritual teaching and growth. As the prophet declared, the believers, men and women, are protecting friends of one another, establishing a spiritual companionship rooted in mutual support and shared divine purpose. Sacred history provides us with luminous examples of feminine excellence that transcend cultural boundaries. Mary stands as the epitome of spiritual receptivity, chosen above all women of the world for her perfect openness to divine guidance. Her example teaches us that the highest spiritual achievements flow from surrender rather than assertion, from receptivity rather than dominance. When the divine announcement came to her, her immediate concern was not personal ambition, but spiritual purity, demonstrating the feminine capacity for placing divine will above personal desire. The Queen of Sheba offers another archetype, the feminine capacity for wise leadership and discerning judgment. Her story reveals that true authority emerges not from force, but from wisdom, not from domination, but from understanding. When faced with Solomon's message, she consulted her advisors and sought peaceful resolution through diplomacy rather than war. Her eventual recognition of divine truth demonstrates the feminine gift for recognizing authentic spiritual authority when it appears. These sacred narratives teach us that women possess not derivative but essential spiritual capacity. The differences between masculine and feminine are not hierarchical but complementary, representing different modes of divine manifestation rather than superior and inferior expressions. The active and receptive principles work together in harmony, neither complete without the other. This complementarity extends beyond individual relationships to encompass the very structure of existence itself. In contemporary understanding, this wisdom calls us to recognize the spiritual equality that transcends physical difference. The divine promise extends equally to all who do righteous deeds, whether male or female, with the same rewards for faith and good conduct. No gender possesses exclusive access to spiritual achievement or divine favor. The path to spiritual realization remains open to all who cultivate consciousness of the divine, regardless of their physical form. The feminine qualities of mercy, wisdom, beauty, and nurturing represent not secondary attributes, but primary manifestations of divine nature. Peace, faith, gentleness, wisdom, and inner depth are among the divine qualities that embody what we might recognize as feminine characteristics. These qualities are not limited to women, but find particular expression through feminine experience and sensibility. When the prophet said, "God is beautiful and loves beauty," he affirmed a divine attribute that transcends gender while finding special resonance in the feminine dimension of existence. The traditional understanding emphasizes that spiritual development requires both masculine and feminine qualities in harmony. The soul itself is understood as feminine in its receptivity to divine guidance, regardless of the physical gender of the person. This means that authentic spiritual growth involves developing both the active qualities associated with masculinity and the receptive qualities linked to femininity. Neither alone leads to completion. Both together create the integrated human being capable of reflecting divine attributes. Cultural interpretations have sometimes obscured these fundamental truths, creating artificial barriers to women's full spiritual participation. Yet the essential teaching remains clear. Women and men share equal capacity for righteousness, equal potential for spiritual achievement, and equal responsibility for manifesting divine qualities in the world. The differences between them serve divine wisdom rather than human hierarchy. The presence of women in our lives serves multiple dimensions of spiritual education. Through their emotional intelligence, women often demonstrate the divine quality of subtle perception, the ability to understand inner realities that escape purely rational analysis. Their capacity for nurturing teaches us about divine care and providence. Their strength in facing life's challenges reveals the divine attribute of patient endurance. Their ability to maintain relationships through difficulty reflects the divine quality of faithful companionship. Motherhood represents one of the most profound spiritual roles available to human beings. The capacity to bring new life into existence mirrors the divine creative power, while the years of patient nurturing reflect God's sustaining mercy. The unconditional love that characterizes maternal devotion provides children with their first experience of divine love, shaping their capacity for faith and trust throughout their lives. This is why paradise is said to lie beneath the feet of mothers, not as reward for biological function, but as recognition of the spiritual service performed through faithful nurturing. Yet the feminine contribution extends far beyond motherhood to encompass all the ways women participate in the divine work of creation, preservation, and guidance. As teachers, healers, counselors, and spiritual guides, women have always served as channels for divine mercy and wisdom. Their perspectives often complement and complete masculine approaches to spiritual questions, offering insight that emerges from different modes of understanding and experience. The intellectual capacities of women deserve particular recognition, as cultural assumptions have sometimes obscured their equal potential for scholarship and learning. The divine encouragement to seek knowledge extends equally to all believers without gender distinction. Women's contributions to Islamic scholarship, from jurisprudence to mystical understanding, demonstrate that spiritual and intellectual excellence transcends physical categories. The different approaches women may bring to learning, often more integrative, relational, and intuitive, enrich rather than diminish scholarly understanding. In the realm of worship and spiritual practice, women and men share the same fundamental obligations and opportunities. The 5 daily prayers, the annual fast, the pilgrimage, and charitable giving apply equally to both genders. The inner dimensions of these practices, developing awareness of God, purifying the heart, cultivating patience and compassion, require the same effort and devotion regardless of one's physical form. Women's spiritual achievements in these areas often surpass those of men, demonstrating that devotional excellence depends on sincerity rather than gender. The relationship between men and women should reflect the divine balance between complementary qualities. Neither dominance nor competition serves the spiritual purpose of human relationships. Rather, mutual respect, support, and cooperation create the conditions for both partners to develop their full spiritual potential. When the sacred text speaks of spouses as garments for one another, it points to this intimate spiritual companionship where each protects, beautifies, and completes the other. Marriage, in this understanding, becomes not merely a social contract, but a spiritual partnership designed to facilitate mutual growth toward divine consciousness. The love and mercy that characterize successful marriages reflect divine qualities, while the challenges of intimate relationship provide opportunities for developing patience, forgiveness, and selfless concern for another's welfare. Both partners serve as mirrors in which each can recognize their own spiritual strengths and weaknesses. The family unit created through this partnership serves as the foundation for social harmony and spiritual transmission. Children learn their first lessons about divine love through parental care, their first understanding of justice through fair treatment, their first experience of forgiveness through parental mercy. The home becomes a sanctuary where divine qualities are practiced and perfected through daily interaction. Contemporary challenges require us to distinguish between essential spiritual principles and cultural practices that may have obscured these truths. The fundamental equality of spiritual potential cannot be compromised by social arrangements that limit women's access to education, meaningful work, or religious participation. At the same time, honoring the distinct qualities and contributions of the feminine requires rejecting approaches that ignore or minimize gender difference in the name of equality. The path forward lies in recognizing that true equality emerges from honoring both sameness and difference, acknowledging the shared spiritual essence while celebrating the distinct gifts each gender brings to human experience. This understanding liberates both men and women from restrictive stereotypes while preserving the wisdom embedded in gender differentiation. Women's increasing participation in all spheres of human activity represents not departure from spiritual tradition, but return to its essential principles. When women serve as scholars, leaders, professionals, and spiritual guides, they manifest the divine qualities of wisdom, justice, mercy, and guidance that belong to their essential nature. Their success in these roles demonstrates not exception but norm, the natural result of providing equal opportunities for spiritual and intellectual development. The presence of accomplished women serves the entire community by modeling the heights of human achievement available to both genders. Young girls need to see that spiritual excellence, intellectual achievement, and leadership capacity belong to their potential as human beings rather than being limited by their gender. At the same time, the unique perspectives women bring to these roles often reveal aspects of truth and wisdom that masculine approaches alone might miss. The divine wisdom that created human beings in complementary pairs serves purposes that extend beyond individual fulfillment to encompass the full spectrum of human potential. The different strengths, sensibilities, and approaches of men and women together create a more complete reflection of divine attributes than either could achieve alone. This is why isolation of the genders impoverishes both, while their collaboration enriches all aspects of human endeavor. Understanding the role of women in our lives ultimately returns us to fundamental questions about the nature of existence itself. The feminine principle reveals that receptivity is not weakness, but strength, that nurturing is not limitation, but expansion, that beauty is not superficiality, but divine attribute. Through women's presence in our lives, we learn that the highest achievements flow not from dominance over others, but from service to divine purpose. The spiritual tradition teaches that complete human development requires integrating both masculine and feminine qualities within ourselves, regardless of our physical gender. Men must cultivate the receptive, nurturing, and intuitive aspects of their nature, while women must develop their capacity for decisive action, intellectual analysis, and spiritual leadership. This integration leads to the balanced human being capable of reflecting divine attributes in their fullness. The contemporary moment offers unprecedented opportunities for this integration to manifest in social form. When artificial barriers to women's participation are removed, when cultural assumptions are examined against spiritual principles, when both men and women are free to develop their full potential, the result serves divine purpose rather than human limitation. This is not about eliminating difference, but about allowing difference to serve its intended function of enriching rather than restricting human experience. The women in our lives, mothers, wives, daughters, sisters, friends, teachers, colleagues, serve as living reminders of these profound truths. Through their presence, we encounter daily opportunities to recognize and honor the divine feminine that sustains all existence. Their struggles and achievements, their wisdom and compassion, their strength and vulnerability all point beyond themselves to the divine attributes they embody and manifest. Learning to see women as complete human beings with full spiritual potential transforms not only our relationships, but our understanding of divine purpose in creation. When we recognize that the differences between men and women serve divine wisdom rather than human hierarchy, we begin to appreciate the sacred nature of gender complementarity. This recognition enriches our spiritual understanding while challenging us to create social arrangements that honor both equality and difference. The role of women in our lives thus emerges as neither subordinate nor identical to men's role, but as uniquely essential to the complete human experience of divine reality. Through their presence, qualities of mercy, wisdom, beauty, and nurturing find earthly expression. Through their achievements, the full range of human potential becomes visible. Through their spiritual development, the promise that righteousness transcends all earthly categories finds concrete demonstration. This understanding calls us to profound gratitude for the women in our lives and deep commitment to ensuring their full spiritual development. It challenges us to examine our assumptions, correct our limitations, and align our relationships with divine purpose. Most importantly, it invites us to recognize in every woman we encounter a manifestation of divine attributes worthy of honor, respect, and support in her journey towards spiritual realization. The divine mercy that encompasses all things continues to manifest through feminine presence in our lives, teaching us through daily experience what the sacred texts reveal through divine guidance. In honoring women, we honor divine attributes. In supporting their spiritual development, we serve divine purpose. In recognizing their full humanity, we complete our own understanding of what it means to be human beings, entrusted with the sacred responsibility of manifesting divine qualities in the world.
Allah!